JC here for Escape to Thailand. I have a unique opportunity to talk to somebody today that, through coincidence, through some friends, they said they knew somebody from their hometown in Oregon, and they're going to be riding through Southeast Asia. And I said, wow, that sounds interesting. And they said, well, he's going to be in town. And so I got this great opportunity to speak with Claus. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Ovesen.
Ovesen.
It's Claus.
Claus.
Like Santa Claus.
Ah. All right, Claus. And here, first of all, let's have a toast because of your accomplishments already.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun trip so far.
Yeah, and we're actually in Hue, and you have a great story, an interesting story. But before we get into what you're doing now, I want to get the people up to speed with your backstory. And that is that you're retired from
UPS.
From working with UPS.
Yeah.
And so, what is that, 20 years?
32.
32 years. Yes. Wow.
Well, it's actually 45 years when you add all the overtime hours I had to put in.
Wow. And what age did you start?
I
Because you look pretty young.
Why, thank you. I started at, I was 25.
25.
Yeah.
And so you retired, and to get everybody up to speed, what we're going to be talking about, you're actually biking through Southeast Asia, but this isn't your first rodeo, right?
No.
You've done this before.
Yeah, I started when I was, I think when I was 50, midlife crisis thing maybe, I decided to sign up for a 7-day supported bike ride. It's called Cycle Oregon. Very supported, very vacation-like. You just have to pedal a lot, and which I said I could do that. And then I loved that. And then I met a guy from Seattle named Gary, and he said, I told him I'd always wanted to do a touring on my own. He said, I want to do that too. So he said, I'll do it with you. So we did a Canadian border to the Mexican border trip down the Pacific coast. 2017, I can't remember exact time, but anyway. Did that, and he said, that was fun, but I don't need to do that again. And I said, well, I loved it. So then I said, I'm going to go from Key West, Florida to California. And I made it this happened in February of 2020. And I made it to Austin, Texas, and I had no idea what somebody said there was a thing called COVID happening.
Oh, wow.
And I had no idea. I spent a few days in New Orleans, partying like crazy. I found out 5 days later, they shut the whole thing down. So anyways, I made it to Austin, Texas. Everything shut down. So I had to stop the ride, rented a car, went home, frustrated, would ride 120 miles every day just to get it out of my system. And then eventually then I decided, well, I want to do another thing like this. So I went to the basic Trans-America is from Virginia to Oregon or either one. So I did that in 2021, I think. And then
How many days did that take?
About a little less than 2 months, 50 some days.
Less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And how about the Florida to California?
That I never made it to California. I made it to Austin, Texas. But what happened? So I met some friends, some running friends, and I've never been a runner. But they said, hey, we're going to Austin, Texas to run a marathon. I said, well, that sounds like fun. So I should try to train for a marathon. So I did that, and I shipped my bike to Austin. So I ran the marathon, then I got on the bike and rode to San Diego to say, I could say I finished it.
Wow. And so how old are you now?
I am 62.
62. Wow, great shape.
Oh, thank you.
I should sort of pull out my bike right now. I should start biking more. So this is an amazing story. And so how did you decide that you were going to come all the way over to Southeast Asia to do this? And what are the countries that are on your itinerary?
Well, there's a great website called Crazy Guy on a Bike. And it fits, right?
That's his site, yeah.
But and out of this guy who runs it, Neil Gunter, I think his name, he lives in Albany, Oregon. And there's tens of thousands of bike rider blogs throughout the world. And so I follow those because I'm a biking nerd. I follow it. I love to read people's adventures. And this has been a hot spot. Southeast Asia has been the spot to go lately because it's so safe, it's friendly, it's relatively inexpensive, and when you do these things, they're great, but you're always looking for, what's the next thing I want to go do? You know, there's got to be something else out there. So I started thinking about wanting to do this, and then at the last minute I said, I'm retired, you know, I'm financially able to do these things, I'm physically able, I'm mentally adventuresome enough, I'm not scared of the world. So I said, why not do this, you know? So I just pulled the trigger, and it's, once you start doing these things, they're less stressful. You just kind of land and you figure it out as you go. And that's kind of how it's going. So my itinerary is all the way north to Chiang Mai area.
But you started in Thailand.
Started in Phuket, yes.
In Phuket. So you landed in Phuket.
Yep.
And you didn't go further south. You started heading north.
No, I parked my bike in the box at a hotel. The gentleman was nice enough to hold it for me. I spent 2 weeks of just sightseeing for a little bit, try to get the lay of the land and get acclimatized to the weather, and then put the bike together and start pedaling. And it was a little rough start. I picked up something that my system didn't like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was pretty sick sick on the bike, basically. I was riding every day.
You were still riding?
Yeah, but it was probably not the smartest thing. I have older sisters who are retired nurses, and they're panicking and because I wanted me to go to the hospital and stuff. But I ended up getting some antibiotics to take while I was riding, and it cleared up. So, but yeah. So, anyways, I'm heading up Chiang Mai. My plan is to go through Laos to Vietnam, down the coast of Vietnam, Cambodia, and back out and fly out of Bangkok.
When you enter Vietnam, you're going to be entering into the north and heading south?
Yes.
Very cool. And how long do you think this whole trip is going to take?
I don't have a return ticket yet, but I'm planning in February, probably like real early February. So about 3 months. I landed November 10th in Phuket, so I'm probably leaving about the 8th or the 9th.
And do you have a solid itinerary? No.
That's again back
ride by the seat of your pants.
Pretty much, yes. We live in a great time with technology, and it's hard to get lost, hard to do anything. You know, you figure it out pretty easy. And this website, again, Crazy Guy on the Bike, I follow a couple of different people's blogs, and I can see their path. You know, it's all maps and everything that they're doing. So a lot of times I'll follow. Okay, they're going this general direction. I'll do that. And then there's an app called Strava, which is a social media app for bicycle riders. Basically, you kind of post what you ride in, and they have mapping options where you say, I want to go from here to here, and they give you the best, route.
Oh, really?
So
when you say best route, is it the safest route?
It's maybe off the highways, a little bit, nothing's perfect. That's why you have to learn to be very flexible, because you might start and saying, going down a half a mile of gravel road, and then, oops, there's a big river here. I can't get across that, so you're going to have to go back and figure it out. And you just have to you got to get out of that, and I get this when I'm in the States, this panicky thing, like it's not going right. Something's not happening, that's going right. You got to learn just to go, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I got what I need here, and I'm in a land of smiles. Everybody's friendly. So.
And that's a good philosophy to carry on throughout your life. And no matter what you're doing, it'll all work out. We wouldn't have made it this long if it didn't, right?
There's a great Bare Naked Lady song called Odds Are, and the whole song is about bad things happen, but odds are we're just going to be just fine.
Yeah, cool. And so how are you, I haven't seen your bike outfitted yet. With what do you carry on the bike as you travel, and what is that weigh?
The bike itself is at least 30-some pounds. It's a heavy bike because it has to carry. It's a beast of burden, basically. It's got to carry a lot of weight. On this bike, I have 2 rear panniers, 2 front panniers, and a handlebar bag, which important stuff, my passport and wallet, things I need to get to fast. The bags are about half full usually on this trip, because the ones across country, I carry another bag that it's called a rack pack on the back, and that carries sleeping bag, tent. So when I'm going cross country, I am solely self-sufficient. I could probably live I have water filters, I have freeze-dried food, I have a kitchen, I could be off the grid for a few days if I need to. Can't with this. I'm counting on places to stay, which has been easy.
So on this trip, you're going to be holding up at night in rooms, and
it may sound like I'm a tough guy, but I'm not. I like my AC.
I like Leo beer.
Oh yeah, Leo beer, and a swimming pool once in a while.
Yeah, it's
I'm
nice.
I'm not out to
beat yourself up.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah, we're too old to get beat up.
Exactly. I've been beat up enough. So.
Well, this is amazing to me. Have you found other people that were interested enough to join you on some of these, or is this something they go, "We'll have a good time and good luck"? A
lot of it's that. There are some small trips. I had a couple really good friends, running friends. I still have one running friend and a couple gals. And I'm going to a little shout out to Louise. She passed away from cancer, but she was a bike riding friend for a long time, who I met on Cycle Oregon. And she always wanted to go on one of a trip that I had done. So we did a impromptu thing she had an electric bike because the cancer was kind of rough on her, but she's just tough. She was a tough gal. But we went from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho to Whitefish, Montana and back, and camped out, and we just had a great time. And it was just like a bucket list thing for her that she was able to do, and it made me feel good showing it. I like doing that, but I am a little bit of a control freak, so I like to set things up. I like to have the routes and everything like that. But when they don't, the reason why I like going out by myself more than anything else is because things go bad, things go haywire, and I deal with myself just fine. But I feel so guilty and so bad if other people are relying on me. They're fine, but in my head, I'm not giving them the best experience. So. And
do you set this up? You were talking about these websites or blogs or the app, and do you set in your itinerary so in case you don't show up somewhere, somebody's looking for you or anything, or what I'm talking about, like that, right?
No.
If you hike into a national forest or something, they say, okay, report in where you're going, and if you don't get there, we know the route you're taking to be able to find you.
No, but I do have people that follow me on Find My Friends on the Apple thing. My wife knows exactly where I'm at all times. And there's another thing called Polar Steps, which a good friend of mine from the Netherlands that I ride bikes with, we go back and forth riding bikes. He set up for me. So there's a few people I sent that to. I think I've never looked at it, but I think they can follow me too. But no, but to answer your question, when I get in it, my routine is I get in at night, I relax and have a good time. And then at night, right before I go to sleep, I update my blog. So it says I went from here to here, and maybe a vague idea of what I'm doing tomorrow, but nothing specific at all. So,
and the amount of time or the distance that you travel in a day is basically on where you want to stop for the next night, right? Within a distance that's
exactly.
doable.
And how I'm feeling, because when I'm going across the United States, I would do 100 miles sometimes. It'd be an all-day thing, and the weather's fine. But here, it's a different thing. The heat and humidity can really work on you. Especially when I was sick, I was really struggling. But,
I can't even imagine.
But yesterday, I did 71 miles, and I felt great. You leave at 6:30 at sunrise, and it's cool. It feels nice, and sometimes you just get lost in the ride and the beauty of everything. And then I look down, I'm 50 miles into the ride, and it's not even noon yet. It's like, well, I'm still feeling good. I'm going to go a little further.
What's about the average that you do in a day?
Here or on other trips?
Here in the humidity.
50. I shoot for 50. That's a good number. Today I did 25 today. So because I wanted to see Rick and Linda, so I had about 100-mile trip. So I thought, well, I can just cut it in half, 50-50, or do a big day, and then I have a nice, easy, which was great. I got here before 10 o'clock, and I get to go do laundry and go relax a little bit. So
have some lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Have
a Leo beer.
Swim later, right? Yeah.
Hold on, I've been talking. That's most I've talked for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's a great way to spend your retirement, and it's great because you're seeing new places. You're staying in great shape, except when you get sick, for whatever that was. But how does your wife feel about all this?
She's patient. She has no interest. We have 4 grandkids now, and so
Wow.
and they're spread out in California, and so it keeps her very, very busy. And,
Yeah, I bet.
The running joke is when I go on these things, he goes, "Have you checked the life insurance?"
Yeah.
If it's up to date, you can go.
Yeah. Don't leave me stuck.
Yeah, exactly. But,
And how often do you do these kinds of rides?
last one I did was probably a year and a half ago. Last summer, the things start getting in my head, and I got to have the next crazy thing to go do. So last summer was my idea was I wanted a century is a 100-mile bike ride in one day. So I said I want to do a century in every state of the United States.
Wow.
So I did that. So
You did that?
Yeah. So I did Oregon. I went down and saw the carrying kids in California. I did 100 miles. Then I went out. Then I Subaru Outback. I made a wooden bed in the back of it, and so I would go from state to state, park the car, do 100 miles. I did 11 in a row at one time, where just and that's including the 100-mile bike ride and driving to the next state. So.
And could you get in 100 in a day?
Oh yeah.
You could.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, I did 46 states, the lower 46 states in 53 days, I think. And then I came back, and my wife, my son and his wife, we flew to Hawaii, to Maui. I did 100 miles there. And then I have a friend in Alaska, so I flew up there and rented a bike, and I did 100 miles there, so I could say I did all 50.
And what time of year did you do this?
I started in March. I left California late March, I think, and then went through Nevada, kind of lower area, and then all
Before
the way.
the heat.
Yeah, and then I
cranked up.
made it back up to the northern end, and so I basically did the lower half, zooming in and out. Then I went up to the upper half and zoomed in and out, and then I waited till June. We went to Hawaii in June, and then in August went to Alaska. But when you get into these bike riding things, it's numbers thing. You would never go on a bike ride and ride 98 miles.
No.
Unheard of. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, yeah, no, I'm going to go.
Too close to 100.
Yeah,
You
it's got to be 100. Yeah. And the same thing with the 50 states. I'm not going to not do. And then I get a jerk that calls me and says, well, there is American Samoans too. You should have done, or there's Puerto Rico. Or,
Yeah, right. Ask him if he's got a bike.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see how much he's riding. Yeah, that's the problem with people,
Yeah.
They always want to find out what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but biking is just amazing because you're looking at the world at about 10 miles an hour, and you're off the beaten path, and you're meeting people. You're if you're like it's Highway 4 here on a car, you're missing out so much.
Missing everything, because here you really have to pay attention when you're driving.
Exactly.
I mean, because the rules are only suggestions here. The laws are only suggestions, and you have to be really careful, especially on the bike too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Something to be cognizant of.
Yeah, well, just being on the opposite side of the road threw me off for quite a while. Still, I got a lot of UPS muscle memory of driving on one side. I got to kind of remember the other side.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to go into the other countries and I'm going to switch.
That's right.
So I got zip ties because I wear a big mirror because I'm a very cautious driver.
Good.
Biker, and I had it on this side, so I had to got it off, put it on this side.
But you're going to have to swap it again.
Swap it again, and then swap it again when I come back in from Cambodia. So.
Wow. And so you think this is you'll probably end your trip around February sometime? Yeah,
I'm guessing about February 8th or 10th or something. I'm going to book a ticket eventually. But.
Have you always been in good shape? I mean, or was when you retired and got on the bike for the first time, it was like, oh boy, this is going to be a test.
You're a UPS driver, so you're in and out of the truck, so you're physically decent shape. But it's limited muscles, and it's and muscle, repetitive muscles that you learn. It's like bike riding. It's like I can go out with my running friends, and they just can't keep up with me. I can ride my bike forever. I get off the bike and try to run with them. It's a different animal.
Right.
I can't do that. Those are different muscles too.
That's right.
And so in my brain, I thought stamina, it's just leg muscles. It's all the same. It's all different. So yeah, no, UPS. I was in decent shape, but this brought it to. But again, I'm a 90-pound weakling from the waist up too. My legs can go forever, but I don't think I could do a push-up.
No, I doubt that, because you had to carry those UPS packages.
That's right, yeah. So it's all kind of relative. There's always something that you can do to try to stay in shape, whether it's...
And so if somebody was interested in doing something like this, and what would you suggest to them to get started?
Just go slow, just get a basic bike and be persistent. I mean, there is nothing fun about sitting on a seat like that for 8 hours a day. I have scars on the nether region that have been there for 10 years, and they're never going away. It's because it's just, there's no, people want to go out and get the big cushy gel seats and stuff like that. That's the worst thing for you.
Really?
Yeah, it's nice, skinny, hard little thing that just, this is a Brooks, made in England. It's a Brooks saddle, it's leather. Yeah, and it eventually conforms a little bit to your bone and your butt, and then
like a nice pair of leather shoes.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, but it's not comfortable. I mean, it's still hard. It's leather, So you just have to to answer your question, you have to not go out for 2 days and saying and throw the bike away because I hurt. Yeah, it's going to hurt. But if you like what you're doing and you like what you're seeing during the day, you forget about the hurt a little bit.
Why did you choose the Trek bike?
I did a little research, there were two bikes to choose from when I was kind of getting into it. That were the main staples was the Trek 520, which they just discontinued making. And there's the Surly long haul trucker. They're very similar. There's lots of other ones that people use. There's a Salsa Cruise, I think it's called. But
and is this steel or carbon fiber?
Pure steel.
Pure steel to handle the weight of the bags and stuff.
Like the first trip I took, it was a stock just out of the box, and I broke 2 spokes on my trip from Canada to Mexico because there was so much weight on there, and it just didn't handle it. And then so I had a friend of a bike from a bike shop custom made these wheels, so they're pretty bulletproof. They add a lot more weight to it and everything, but it's just I'm like my friend Rick over there. I'm not a mechanical person. I have a cell phone and a credit card, so if I get in trouble, I'm not going to fix it myself. I'm going to have to call somebody.
Does it ever get lonely out there by yourself?
I forget who said it, some wise person said there's a big difference between loneliness and solitude.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And solitude, I love solitude. And people are amazed that I don't even listen to music. I mean, But you are listening to music. You're listening to the music of nature. Yes, yeah. And if I get bored, I start singing the same song in my head, whatever. But there's so much to see and observe around. It's just, from the dog doing this or the scooter going by me, amazed that it's a whole family with a 1.5-year-old kid here. The mom, there's 2 kids with backpacks going to school, and it's just, in awe of that stuff. I just love that stuff. It's something so different than where I'm from and that's the one thing I do, I think makes this easier for me, is that I love the uniqueness of life. I hate, not want to say hate's a bad word. I get very bored and tiresome of a routine. And so I love when things come at me that are different.
That's almost an attitude that you have to be able to do this, because undoubtedly something is going to get in your way. I mean, that's life, right? And so if it upsets you, it's not going to be pleasurable. But if you roll with the punches and learn from it, and
remember, you're not in your world anymore. You're in somebody else's world and country and culture and language. And I have the most respect for people that are willing to deal with me not learning their language. I can learn a couple things, Sawadikap and just some basic stuff, and I can smile, and they're so understanding and willing. I go to other places, come to our country, in the U.S., you're not always going to get that,
That's right.
And
a smile here goes a long way.
Yeah, and I love going to a different culture and seeing something different.
Well, cool. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and stay safe on your trip, and
one more toast.
Here's to your adventure.
Thank you.
And And the crazy guy on a bike, is that other people on there too, or just you?
Tens of thousands. So
really?
yeah. So if you just,
but when I went to the link that Rick sent me, it was right to your page.
Yes, because that was a link right to my page. But if you go backwards or just type in Google "crazy guy on a bike," it'll come up and it'll say "bike journals of the world" or something like that. And then you just hit journals. You can hit locales. You want to see Thailand only. You want to see New Zealand. You want to see this. And everybody who's posted things in New Zealand or Thailand, wherever, you'll see. And the nicest people on there, they're messaging me now, as I'm writing, hey, make sure you go see this. There's a guy in Chiang Mai that I might run into, when I'm up there. The real quick story was I going across the United States, and the headquarters of the Venture Cycling Association, which provides maps for United States bikes riding, is in Missoula, Montana. This guy was messaging me and saying, watching my ride, and say, hey, when you come to Missoula, I notice you like beer. We got a bunch of breweries here. When you get here, plan for a couple days off. So I went there, and he told me where he lived. We went and we spent 2 days and hitting all the breweries and just having a great time. So yeah, people are awesome. They really are. I wrote on one of my blogs, somebody reminded me that when you sit at home and watch the news all day long, it's a really scary world out there. But when you go out in it, it's like, okay, the world's a really great place.
Hey, fear sells.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why most people live in fear. And so this is why I wanted to get you on camera here, to get people to, I really do think at this point, especially in this point in history, I really think people need to reconnect not only with nature, but with the people around them, the communities, and with themselves. Because if you live on social media or the mainstream news or something, it's demoralizing.
Absolutely.
And so this is why to see somebody like you to get out and do these kinds of things, I think it's impressive, and I think it's something more and more people should be doing to get back to living life.
Yeah.
Instead of because they say that it's like social media. It's not social. And when you say friend somebody, they're not your friend. You don't know these people, right?
I know.
But you're going to have, especially in Thailand and Vietnam as well. When you meet people, and Rick and Linda can tell you this, and this happens to me. I can be someplace in Isan in rural Thailand, and go in, maybe be there for a week and go in every day and order, my coffee the way, and I might not be there for a year, and then I go back and I walk in, oh, you want your latte again? I want, huh? Yeah. And it's like, wow, I look at my wife and go, how do they remember that?
That's a real connection there.
Yeah, it's a real connection. And so these are the kinds of things, these are the intangible kinds of things of living or spending time in Southeast Asian countries where the values are still like they were when we were younger, and it reminds me a lot like that. So thanks again for your time and your interview and your inspiration for other people. Anything you want to finish with? No,
I think to your point, mixing cultures is just one of the proudest things as a parent that I did. We have three children. They were all exchange students. They, one lived in Mexico for a year. The other ones lived in Costa Rica for 2 months, and I think that's a good start. Get your children out there.
Yeah. And I didn't know they even still had those programs.
Oh yeah, they still.
Oh, that's great.
We've hosted at our house. We've hosted Costa Ricans, Japanese. We had a French exchange student that we've been back to her weddings. She comes back. We see them all the time. We go back and forth like another child to us. So I think once you start at a nice young age and let kids realize that it's okay out there, just because they don't look like you, talk like you, and even maybe not even think like you, we're all still good people together, and we all want good things for each other.
That's right. On a certain level, we're all the same, we have everything in common, and we're all fighting for the same thing, for survival on this realm that we live in. And so, well, here's to you.
Thank you, sir.
And JC and Claus, out, and good luck to you, and maybe some other time we'll be able to catch up, maybe even online or something, that when you finish the trip and tell me how it went. Okay?
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Take care.
Thank you.
See ya.
Okay.
Hey, JC here. If you like that video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel here. Also, we have another video up here you're going to be really interested in watching as well. And if you're looking for all the details of how to retire in Thailand in one place, plus a group of people to support you, check this out over here. Give it a click.